Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by Bronx. This is HD Talk. These are HD Things, and I'm your host, Boogie Down Bronx, and I'm here to take care of the generators in human design. It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you. It's been a long time since I've done a generator video. Specifically, I think the last one I did was it me telling my story? I can't remember. But I think I have. So I have three. Well, I have a first generator video, how to never be frustrated again. I have my generator story. I have my manifesting generator video, and now I have this one. So this is specifically for generator types. Manifesting generators, this will resonate for you too. The only thing that I'm not touching on in this video is for MG is the informing part. This is only about responding and what response looks like, because a lot of generators are still struggling with understanding their strategy way to respond, and what does a response even mean? What does it even look like? So in this video, we are going to be covering what that looks like, what that means for you from a generator themselves. All right, so generator strategy, wait to respond, we know this, and this is gonna have examples and explanations. So I have some notes here I'm gonna be following along. Of course, I always have my notes. So there are three types of ways, or three forms of how to respond, in my opinion. Like, once I've been getting deeper into human design and experimenting, I realized there's not just one way to respond. So the first example of how to respond is, like, let's say you get an idea in your mind, right? So you can get any idea where it's like, you know what? I want to start a business. You know what? I want to go back to school. You know what? I want to leave this relationship, or I want to start trying to put myself out there and make friends. Okay? So you get the idea, right? That's the first part. And then that's where people mess up. So if you are a generator type, once you get that idea, people think, oh, got the idea, let me go for it. No. Especially if there's nothing really triggered that idea. It just kind of popped up in your head while you were just chilling or doing something else. So you get the idea, and most people think, okay, now I'm gonna go apply for school, or I'm gonna go leave this relationship just because I got the idea to do it, or I'm going to just go start my business now without any type of next step or direction. But you are meant to wait for something outside of yourself that validates the thought or shows you the direction that you're supposed to take for that, okay? So you get the idea, I want to start doing something. So that happens to me a lot, where I'll say, I want to start making these type of videos, or I want to start talking about this type of thing. And before I just go out and start doing it, I'll wait for somebody to bring it up to me. Usually it happens fairly quickly, where they'll be like, oh, have you ever considered doing these type of videos? Like with human design, that happens a lot, where somebody was like, well, not somebody, multiple people. They were like, have you ever considered doing human design consultations or readings? Because I think you'd be great at it. And I had already had the idea in my mind that I wanted to do the consultations and the readings. So that was an external confirmation. The universe, their universal confirmations are always being sent to you. Like when you have an idea, if it aligns with you, you are always going to get the universal confirmation. So you don't have to just go out there and figure out how you're going to make it all happen. The step will show up right in front of you, okay? And that happens. You'll think back a lot in your life where you just had an idea, and then like maybe somebody brings it up in a conversation, and you're like, that's so funny because I was just thinking about this. I was just thinking about doing this. So you get that universal confirmation, right? It validates you. So some other some other examples that I had here is just briefly, where I'll be like, okay, I really want to talk to somebody, right? I really want to have a conversation with someone, but I don't want to initiate from my mind just because I miss somebody. That's not enough to initiate a conversation with people that you haven't spoke to in a long time, you know, type of thing, or there was nothing that prompted you to reach out to somebody. And I'm not talking about like, you know, your friends that you talk to on a regular basis. I mean like relationships that are kind of estranged, or like if you're like, I want to reconnect with somebody, right? So I was waiting for a sign to proceed and reconnect with a certain individual. And oddly enough, they reached out to me first, and it's been over a year. So that just goes to show you that sometimes you don't even have to do anything. You just let it come to you. If it's aligned with you, it will come, or something will prompt you to do that, instead of you just being like, I'm gonna just say something because my mind is telling me to say something. That's not like you have a deadline to meet with somebody, or you're working with somebody on something, you have to talk to them. No, this is something different. So there's always like little like exemptions. You know, there's what's that word? Not exemptions, exceptions. Yeah. So another thing is like I've been wanting a better relationship with my dad, with my step family and stuff like that. And I just did not know what I had to do to get a better relationship. So I was just kind of waiting and see like, okay, and it's one of those things where you just kind of like, all right, if I can't figure it out, I'm gonna just leave it alone. I'll give up on it. So then actually my barber, he was discussing some stuff about his blended family, his step family. So I brought up my dad and our relationship and my blended family. And like, I really had something to respond to with that, where I was like, you know what? I think that you'd be great to talk to my dad man to man and things of that nature. And so that opened the door for like a whole new revelation in our relationship, because of somebody outside of myself. Instead of me trying to initiate, thinking I know how to fix something or I know how to do it, I waited for the steps to show up right in front of me. And then all I did was respond, because my body felt excited. I felt like energized to say something. And that's when you know you should respond. If like you get some type of confirmation and it just feels like, oh my gosh, I'm so validated. Like I feel like I need to respond to this. I need to reply. Whatever it is, I need to take action now that I got my confirmation. So things like that can really help you. Now, some other things that you can respond to can be questions, feedback, opportunities, signs, inspiration, or ideas that come from other people. All right. So that's one thing. And then kind of like branching off from that. So you can have an idea that you have in your head and then you get confirmation, or you can get a completely new idea that you never even thought of from somebody outside of yourself, like a suggestion type of thing. Kind of like where projectors get invited for, like maybe they could have either wanted to be invited or they didn't know what kind of invite they wanted and they got invited outside themselves, something they didn't think of. So same with generators, you can already have something in your mind that you're waiting for an opportunity to respond with, or you can get prompted with a whole new something that you never thought of. So for example, with me, I was like kind of initiated or invited to do Patreon, where I didn't know what Patreon was. I never heard of it. Maybe I was thinking of like, I wanted something to expand my business. Maybe, I don't remember because it was a while ago. But if that was the case, then that was something that came outside of myself that I never thought of. Somebody was like, you should do Patreon. And I was like, that's exciting. But I think I still waited a little bit. So because I have emotional authority, and I'm going to talk to you guys about that as well. But yeah, so I think the main thing is just waiting until you feel like you fully have energy. If somebody gives you an idea and you are like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds exciting. But maybe you just don't have the time for it yet. You don't have the energy for it yet, or you don't know what step you should take first. Then that's when you wait again for a little bit to see, okay, let me figure out when and where I can do this. So those are the first, that was kind of two, but the first example. The second example is you respond to things that excite you daily. So that could be responding to text messages, people you want to talk to, responding to emails, food options, clothing choices. So there's a response in every single thing we do. From the moment we wake up to the minute we go to sleep. People really get so caught up on the word respond, like what does this even mean? But if you think about it, we're always in response, right? Like when we get up, we check our phone, we may go on social media, we see people tweeting, we have things that we're drawn to reply to, respond to, whether that is negative or positive. Or we have certain emails, certain text calls we wake up to that either excite us or they make us very annoyed, and we can choose to respond or not. Some things are more obligation, you have to respond. Some things are not. So when you have a choice on what you can respond to, what you don't or do want to respond to, you have to be very conscious that every single thing is an energy exchange. And the more you respond to things that light you up, that excite you, that make you feel good in your life, the more you'll get that. The more you respond to negativity, hateful, whatever, the more you will get that. So that's another example of what responding looks like in your everyday life, is the things that you choose to engage and interact with. Now, the last thing about how to respond is this is only if you have emotional authority. So if you have an emotional authority, once you have an idea in your head, you have your external validation, then you still need to wait a little bit longer. And all these things sound like they take months and months and years, but honestly, no. All of this can happen in a matter of weeks. You know, if you already have a clear mind for the most part, you get the idea one day, you could get the confirmation the same day, you know, and then your emotional wave may not take that long. It may take a day or two. So all that can happen in a week's time, like in the shortest version. In the longest version, it could take like a few months. But you have your idea, you get some type of validation or multiple forms of validation. Then you wait for clarity for your emotional wave, where you've weighed out the pros and cons. You say, okay, I have enough time to do this, or maybe I need some more time, or how this will work in my schedule. I'm excited to do it, up, down, up, down. And then you get to a place where you're like, okay, now I know this is what I really want to do. Or you'll say, actually, that was a good idea, but I don't think that's for me, or it doesn't really excite me that much as I thought it did. So you ride that wave, and you have to see, because there's no truth in the now for emotional authority. For generators, you can only have emotional or sacral. So if you have sacral, your truth is in the now. Your truth, your body will tell you when you get an opportunity presented to you or something to respond to. Your body will tell you how much energy you're going to have. It tells you right then and there. Yes, you're going to have the energy to fulfill this project. You'll have the energy to meet the expectations, to have this conversation, and you'll feel satisfied because you are super, super lit up. It's very black and white for sacral. For emotional, it's not black and white. It's very gray area. You got to ride that gray area. Sacral, it's either a yes or it's a no. Because even maybe is a no for right now. So you have to get in the habit of making decisions like that. And then emotional authority, making decisions that you waited out a little bit longer to make sure it's what you really want. Okay, so now getting into some more of that was 3 examples of how to respond, so that should clear that up. Now the whys in which we have to wait, and then I'll be answering some frequently asked questions that I see all the time on my timeline, people tweeting to me and stuff like that. So why do we have to wait? One, it creates space for the right things to come in and to magnetize your energy. So when you wait, you're not just initiating from the mind, and you're not just like doing things just to do them, and you're wasting energy. That you could be like, the more excited you are, the bigger impact you're going to have, where people are drawn to you in response, right? So when you're just always initiating, you're gonna find that a lot of things don't seem to leave a bigger mark, or it doesn't really draw people in, because you weren't even really that excited about it. You were just doing it to prove something, most likely, or out of fear, whatever it is. But it creates that energy be able to flow through. And no matter if you're a female, male, whatever you identify as, generator aura is a feminine energy, which means that it is about attraction, law of attraction, bringing things to you. It's not about being so proactive in making things happen. That is, I say, MG is yin and yang, feminine and masculine, and then manifestor is masculine energy. So generator is feminine, where you're practicing waiting and receptivity. So we magnetically pull things towards us, and when you chase, you will repel what you want and become frustrated. So chasing is more so for manifestors, but repelling works for them because their aura is repelling. So think about it this way: if your aura is open and No, it's not. I'm getting confused with the projector aura, but it's magnetizing. So it pulls things in. If you go against your aura and you go into your masculine energy too much, then you're pushing it away. And a manifester aura is repelling and closed. If they're in their feminine energy, always waiting, then that's going against their energy. So you have to really just go with your energy. That's the whole point of human design, is to work with your own energy and do things in the best way for you. It's not to limit you. It's not to make you feel bad. It's just so you're aware of like what are certain limitations that you may face that don't have to be there if you just integrate, like, and you unlearn things that have been injected into you from society. And then you can't initiate because you have no motor to the throat, like a manifester or a manifesting generator. So you cannot just initiate from the mind. The throat is the manifestation center in the human design language, which allows you to inform, it allows you to move forward, but MG still has to wait for something to respond to as well before they initiate and inform. Generator has to wait altogether. They cannot, well, you can still inform, but it's not the same as if you have a manifesting generator aura. Okay, so now kind of getting into some frequently asked questions here. So what does waiting actually mean? So waiting does not mean doing nothing. I tell this to projectors all the time. Waiting means self-care. Okay, waiting is a time of reflection, to step back and see what has been working thus far, what is not working for you. It's also to observe where you don't have enough space in your life for things to flow in. So there could be an energetic blockage where you're just too busy. Like if you're wanting new friends, new relationships, new whatever, but you're still holding on to these old friends that are not good for you. You're still holding on to the past relationships, the baggage. Energetically, it's going to cause a blockage here. So mentally, emotionally, physically, or if you've been too much in chasing things, you will face like this generator plateau and you get really frustrated and stuck because you're like, nothing is happening. Well, that is your sign to always go back to waiting to respond. Generators think that they need to always be actively doing for things to come in, but it's like really the opposite. The more you do, the less you get. Okay, but because you have so much energy to do, it feels like you can just do, and you can, but when it starts to get to that point of frustration, that means you're doing too much. All right, you need to do less, detach, and don't force anything to happen. Next thing, what if there's nothing to respond to? There's always things to respond to, okay? And this doesn't mean, like, responses never ever stop altogether. Now, there may be times where things slow down. So you could be getting responses day to day, week to week, month to month, and then suddenly it's like you're not even getting anything for days at a time or weeks at a time. And so you may think there's nothing to respond to at all, but that's only in one area of life. Okay, so you have to shift your focus. And all generators hit a plateau after experiencing a climax of excitement and forward movement. So you go up, then you get here, and it seems like there's nothing, right? But there is still some things. So responses slow down, but they never stop. One area of your life may slow and another one moves forward. So this is where, again, you go back to your strategy. And generators get caught up in these big things to respond to, but there's also little things that you can respond to, right? And you respond to more satisfying things. So like, where have you been neglecting like your playtime, your free time, your fun, hanging out with friends because you're like super focused on work and getting things to respond to there? So wherever it is that you are just too much in your masculine energy trying to get something to respond to, go back and focus on other things you enjoy. There has to be something else that you enjoy that is just fun for you. It's not anything that's like frustrating. All right. The next question that people ask me a lot is, can I incite responses from others? Yes, you can. That is a way that you can initiate. So like you get an idea, right, to do a business venture. Then you go and you ask people about like different venues or like what they would think about this or that, or like, you bring it up in some way Or you ask your audience, hey, what kind of music do you want to hear? What do you want to see? What do you, stuff like that. If you're like on social media, you can ask people like for their ideas, their suggestions, which is what I did on Twitter. When I was kind of hitting a wall where I didn't know what to post for human design, I'm like, what do you guys want to see? And then from there, you can choose whatever is most exciting for you. So yes, you can. You can ask other people's opinions and get responses. Yeah, so asking people like what kind of content they want to see and things of that nature. Now, this question is also one I get a lot. What if I don't have anything that excites me? What if nothing excites me? Yada, yada, yada. So excitement is something you can experience in subtle or like very, very big ways. People think excitement means that you got to be going to Carowinds every day and riding the roller coasters. Like, no. Excitement can be in like tiny little ways, like listening to your favorite song or eating your favorite food, going to see somebody you really care about. Like those are little bursts of excitement. It doesn't always have to be these huge, huge strides. So it could be that you just have been looking for big, big, big forms of excitement where you don't need to. You could just also focus on the little things that bring you some joy here and just having fun. Now, the other reason why you may feel like you don't know what your sacral even sounds like, what that gut feeling means when you feel the excitement to go towards something, is because you've conditioned yourself to go against your sacral responses. So if you are constantly living from fear, if you have, these three are the main reasons. Like if you have an undefined spleen, undefined ego center, or undefined head, you will make decisions from your mind. If it's undefined from your head, feeling like you have pressure to just do something. Undefined spleen, you'll make decisions out of fear or a scarcity mindset. Or undefined ego, you'll make decisions from a place of trying to prove yourself, okay, from ego. So you've conditioned yourself to go against your gut responses, whereas if your body tells you, I want to do something else, but your mind is like, well, how does this make sense? Like trying to make sense of it. Like this is the more logical way. This is the more safe, predictable way. Let's do it this way. You have to really develop trust in your body as a generator. And that's the main thing that I learned, because in my generator story, I expressed how I was in school. And I was excited about what I was doing until something else more exciting came along. And I had to trust my body and say, I don't understand why this is exciting me like it is. I don't understand where I'm going with this, but I'm going to trust that this is taking me where I need to go. And if I wouldn't have done that, I don't know where I would be. But it was too hard for me to ignore, first and foremost. So I think like the more you ignore it, the harder it will be to have full body excitement like you should. So you have to really get into learning the ways in which you go against your body to do the more logical things and where you don't trust your body enough. But I mean, it honestly is a win-lose situation if you think about it, because, for example, you trust your mind, right? You go with what's most logical. No, it's a lose-lose, because you go, like, for example, you go with your mind, right? You do what you always do. You end up frustrated and you end up unsatisfied. So yes, you go with what's most logical. You go with what's most safe for you, but you end up not feeling good about it anyway. So why not just try to go with your body and see if something else happens? Like if you already are used to being disappointed by going with your mind, you're not going to be more disappointed by going with your body. So you have to just try to do something else. You have to try to go with something you didn't do before. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and thinking you're going to get a different result. So getting out of your mind, stop talking yourself out of things, okay, that make you feel good. So learning to decondition, because making decisions from your mind. So learning what should I do versus what I want to do. So like feeling like, what should I do this because my parents will be happy? Should I do this because this will make me look good? Should I do this because this will probably attract me the most success? Should I do this because I'm scared? Versus, I want to do this because this is fun. This is exciting. This is my calling. This is my passion. So you got to, find that divide, separation. So lastly, how do you decondition? Well, deconditioning is something that takes, like you have a lifetime of conditioning. You have to really go into your open centers. You have to look at all these things. And in my consultations that are now open, I do discuss deconditioning, and I help you guys with what you need to do, like where you need to start, what areas of life are probably the most conditioned for you, making decisions in real time. So that's something that takes a while, because this is 20 years plus. For many of you are over 20 years of like unlearning. It's not something you just sit down one day and you're like, okay, boom, got it. No, unless you've always been living like that, you're not going to just suddenly be able to jump into it. So that's the whole point of working with your design, experimenting, doing something different, living in your design, because obviously the way you've been living has not been working to an extent. So now you're trying to do something different. There's no harm in trying something else. That's the only way you'll know what works and what doesn't. So if you're interested in a human design consultation, you could sign up in the form in the link in my bio. I have been reaching out to people, taking a few at a time per month, because these get really in depth, and I'm going to only be mentoring a few people at a time. Okay, so that's the generator way. Okay, that's the generator way. That's what we're working through. That's what we're working on, guys. So let me know if this resonated for you. Did this make anything more clear for you? I hope it did. And what other content you'd like to see from me for human design. That's all I got for y'all today. But I am at Tarot by Bronx on everything.